Good evening and welcome to edition number 4 of Tuesday Night Sports Talk, coming to you live from Tampa, Florida. Connor Anthony, the host of Tuesday Night Sports Talk. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm joined by my good friend, sports enthusiast, and regular old chap, I guess, Curt Lorden. Can't really think of anything too explicit.
Apparently now I'm British.
Something like that, I don't know. But I couldn't think of a title to bequeath you, so I kind of just made one up on the spot. But
Good job. You had an entire week to prepare.
yeah, I was busy all week, but that's all right. We're here tonight, and I was realizing on the drive here that next week is going to be our first show that football won't be a part of it because it'll be over on Sunday.
I am actually very, very excited. This football season has been extraordinarily long. And I'm kind of enjoying the time off. But we have a ton of stuff to talk about. I mean, we have baseball season coming up. We have fantasy baseball. We have basketball. We have hockey. The hockey playoffs will come in. We have this new spring league that's going to be rolling out in West Virginia. That's going to be some sort of a byproduct of the NFL, although there's no official affiliation. And plus, I mean, athletes do stupid shit all the time that we can talk about. So we're good. We're fine, buddy.
Yeah, it'll be rather interesting. So, got Super Bowl 51 coming up on Sunday. Have you picked your sides yet? You've had a whole week. I think you were a little undecided last week.
I was. The pick of the week's the under, 59. Absolutely going to go under. And I did my research. I went back and actually watched both of the AFC and the NFC Championship games, and I'm going with the Patriots. I think that a couple of reasons. One, the Patriots' experience and Atlanta's youth is going to be a huge differential. And when Belichick was the defensive coordinator for the Giants, the Bills scored like 54 and 44 points, or 51, and it was 51 and 44 points, and then Belichick's defense held to 19. And Matty Ice, let's really talk about what the real reason is. He's wearing number 2. That's his quarterback number. And the best number 2s that best quarterbacks that ever have worn number 2, Doug Flutie, Aaron Brooks, Tim Couch, and Matt Ryan. So that's really the real reason why I'm picking the Patriots over the Falcons, because of this is really what it boils down to. And 12s have won more than anyone else.
Well, I mean, everyone wants to be number 12. Rodgers, Terry Bradshaw was number 12, was he not?
Yep, and so was Staubach.
That's Staubach, yeah.
I mean, there was a ton of them. But this is what I understand. So when you choose a number, like when I chose a number, I picked number 13, not just because it was my lucky number. But when you're younger, you usually pick a number after a role model or a hero. There's like no number 2s. So I'm kind of curious on where Matt Ryan picked, why he picked number 2.
I'd be interested if he was number 2 in college, at Boston
I don't know,
College.
because I don't want to be number 2 at anything. I mean, I don't want to be the Cowboys for the rest of my life and live in second place.
Do you know who else is number 2? Johnny Manziel.
That's awesome. Yes, sold. Falcons are going down.
The Falcons. I don't know, man. The last time you took you tried to bet on the spread, you ended up losing on both ends. Not only did you think that the Falcons in Green Bay wouldn't cover 60.5, but then you decided to elect to pick the Steelers.
If I won every bet that I made, I wouldn't be sitting on this set with you.
So next week, when I come in and not only do they both score more than 59 combined, but the Falcons win, what do I get?
I'll do another shot. How's that?
Of my choosing.
Of your choosing.
Okay.
If it goes over 59, you can pick the shot, as long as it's not poison, bleach, gasoline, or something like that. I'll do the shot.
I'm interested to see this because I'm not really sure what kind of liquor.
Man of my word.
Well, I'm not really sure what kind of liquor you don't drink, so I have to find something that you won't enjoy. I can't reward you. You need to be punished. Anyways, did you end up watching the Pro Bowl Sunday night?
Absolutely not. I don't watch that. No, I don't watch that filth.
Why not? It was actually It was actually.
Yeah, I saw the some of the highlights and Kirk Cousins chasing down Aqib Talib and stripping him and saving a touchdown. But listen, the Pro Bowl's horrible. It's normally not competitive. I think they should just take it completely off the schedule. There's so many other cool things they could do. I mean, the skills competition was, even though it wasn't prime time, was one of the most watched.
It was the most watched show on ESPN last Thursday.
So why not do more shit like that? I mean, you could do like a recently retired and someone else flag football game for charity. You could just simply.
I think they did that though.
A couple years ago.
No, I think they did it this year. I'm pretty sure they did like an old one. I think one of the guys was Marvin Harrison was out there. If I'm not mistaken.
Well, they didn't market very well.
Yeah.
They could just simply pay the players and give them a vacation.
I don't know. I think this year, though, the players actually really seem to enjoy it. Like, usually if, like, the Pro Bowl, no one wants to play in it. I mean, I feel like a lot of players want to go to Hawaii, but they have enough money that they're able to go to Hawaii without
So they'd
having
rather go to Orlando?
No, but I just feel like I feel like it's
you were
closer.
in Orlando.
I know I was in Orlando. I would have got tickets, but I had a buddy of a buddy who said he could get me tickets and then bailed out. I didn't want to spend $90 watching.
No, I hate all All-Star games, and I refuse to watch them. I will watch the skills competition, and I'll watch the home run derby, but the actual games themselves.
You don't like the MLB All-Star Game is always really competitive, though. That's
only since they switched the home field advantage goes to the World Series.
They actually took it away this year, though. It's not going to be like that anymore. But it's still
moving
really
forward.
Moving forward, yeah, going.
But up until this point, I probably.
But it's still really competitive. It's not like the NBA that's a no defense All-Star. It's more of just a show.
Well, they should just do 1-on-1 or 3-on-3s, like you suggested a couple
I think 3-on-3s would be cool. Well, what hockey did this year is there's now I guess there's 2 conferences in hockey with like 4 divisions. What they did in hockey this year is they matched the divisions up against each other, so they played 3 games for the All-Star game. So it was like 2 divisions went up against each other, and the winners of those played in the championship. That's kind of cool. Like if the NFL did that, where you broke off,
Yeah, but the whole reason behind I don't like it in the NFL, and the reason why it's not competitive is because of the injury concern. Now, there's some players, they're 50-50. They don't want preseason, but they're cool with the Pro Bowl.
Well, the Pro Bowl, I feel like they think in preseason you're still going to get hit. Like the Pro Bowl, like the defensive linemen don't.
Camps and stuff where like the Redskins will go play the Steelers for 4 or 5 days in a row, and they actually hit other teams. They can just eliminate with the Pro Bowl, the preseason games in general.
I think the Pro Bowl though this year was really.
1
decent.
year.
I think
I'll
going
give it to you. No,
I think
20. The score was, and I looked at the stats and I watched some of the highlights. It was competitive. It's just not. It's not my cup of tea. It's actually for me. It's a week off where I can just sit back and not have to worry about watching football. And then I have the Super Bowl to watch next week with the most hated people in America.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. But so you were speaking about before we go any further. We're talking about the number 2. Matt Ryan was number 12 in college. At Boston College, he was number 12. I'm looking at a picture of him right now playing against, it looks like Virginia Tech. So maybe he just wanted to create his own brand in the NFL.
Maybe, I guess.
It's like 12 and 18, but everyone.
But he could have picked any other number than 2. I just hate the number 2. You're like, I think number 1 and number 2 should be just eliminated from NFL jerseys.
I like 1. You don't like Cam Newton's? I feel like 1's cocky. Like you got to have some swagger to play with number 1.
Okay, so number 1's cocky. So what's number 2?
Derek Jeter.
That's baseball.
Yeah, close enough though. I mean, number 2.
Yes, because baseball and football are very similar.
No, the player
sports.
number 2 is you got to stay together. There's not many of you. There's a lot of number 3s. People like being number 3.
Right.
I don't know.
This is going absolutely nowhere.
I don't know. I still think number 2 is a great number. And speaking of number 2, I actually looked in my closet to try to find my Matt Ryan shirt
that you promised you were going to wear.
But I wasn't able to find it, so I'm guessing it's lost.
Okay, so if anyone says Matt Ryan, who does number 2 work for? He'll say Atlanta or Bill Blanks or Arthur Blanks.
Arthur Blanks.
Yes, Walt Disney.
Arthur Blanks is signing his check. He works for Arthur Blanks. But interestingly enough, you mentioned something about a spring league.
Yeah.
For the NFL.
So there's a spring league coming out. It starts, I think, in March. And actually, I almost signed up for it today because the deadline was today, but then I realized I had 2 ACL reconstructions.
and you're almost 40. You're pushing 40.
I'm kicking 40's door down with a bum leg, and I'm out of shape. I get winded walking around my house. So there's going to be 4 teams. They're going to play 6 games. None of the players are getting paid. All the games are going to be played in West Virginia. They get free room and board, and they get per diems. The notable players so far are Ray Rice, Johnny Manziel, Greg Hardy, and Kellen Winslow Jr. So we have, violent people who've been arrested.
An alcoholic / cocaine addict.
We have an alcoholic and someone who considered himself a soldier at Miami. This is awesome. Now, back in the day before you were born, I know we got to go to break here in a minute, as they keep yelling in my ear, the USFL was the league back in the early 1980s. 83 is when they started. So right now there's no affiliation for the spring league as of yet, but I'm sure it probably will. It's almost going to be kind of similar to set up the way baseball is, where you have farm leagues and this and that. It's not going to be enjoyable to watch because it's like an instructional league.
Well, I was about to say, the USFL, I know enough about it that there actually was some really good players in it. Looking at this list so far, Ray Rice has been decent, but again, he's been out of the NFL for 3-4 years. Like Manziel flamed out.
When you get caught punching someone in an elevator.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is the USFL actually had good competition.
The way it was set up was to compete directly with. This is supposed to actually work in conjunction, hand in hand with the NFL. And that's why it's just going to be, I don't see it being successful whatsoever.
It doesn't sound like it will be, though. A spring league? Because, I mean, it just seems very... I feel like if you're going to have a league like a developmental league or like a minor league, you'd want to have a league playing while the NFL season is going on.
Well, no one will watch it. They want to.
Oh, they're trying to market it.
Yeah.
Oh God, I thought this was just a.
No, it's not just.
Yeah, good luck on that.
It's not, and we'll talk a little bit more about the USFL a little bit later because actually it was a really cool league. It actually pushed and created. It helped create what the NFL is today.
Yeah, no, I mean, one of the classes I took in college, the professor actually worked for one of the teams. I think it was Tulsa had a team.
San Antonio had a team. I don't know if Tulsa. I can't remember.
Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yeah, I think they did, and he actually worked for them.
Yeah, because San Antonio's in Texas.
Yeah, Tulsa's in Oklahoma.
Right.
Okay, I'm just making sure you know your geography. So that'll be interesting.
I don't know my states.
Games played in West Virginia. It'd actually be.
They're all played in the exact same spot.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you'd just be playing in a stadium made of coal, but I mean, I guess if you've got nothing else to do and you don't want to watch West Virginia Mountaineers football, the spring league might be for you.
Well, one of the good things that the USFL actually did is they forced the NFL to pay their players at a premium price.
Right.
So people would come out of the draft and they'd join the USFL because they were paying them a hell of a lot more money than the NFL was. And the NFL at that point was deemed as the no fun league. You couldn't really do anything that was exciting. And, you know, they signed 3 straight Heisman winners, Rozier, Flutie, and Herschel Walker, not necessarily in order. And Reggie White was a big player there. Jim Kelly, Spurrier was a coach. Lee Corso was a coach. Martin Levy was a coach. We had the Tampa Bay Bandits here locally in Tampa Bay.
No, Donald Trump owned.
He did. He's the reason why he wanted to move from the spring league to the fall league.
I remember
and it completely just dismantled the entire thing.
Well, he owned New Jersey had a team, right? The Admirals, if I'm not mistaken, and he owned them.
Yeah,
I don't think it was Tampa.
No, it wasn't. No, he didn't. No, he didn't own it. He didn't own the Bandits.
No, I think he owned the team out of New Jersey, and
that would make sense because he was actually in New York.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, there's actually a 30 for 30 that came out about it. It was actually pretty informative. But
well, they started the 2-point conversion, and remember the NFL went and they had that strike in '82. And then this league came out in '83 and was, albeit it was an instant success, there was a lot of financial issues with some of the teams. And then it obviously ceased in '86. And I think there was another strike in '87 that didn't last nearly as long as '82.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Unfortunately, I guess they're coming out with a 30 for 30 this week, I think, about the XFL.
Dude, that was awesome. He hate me. They did as a player. And I can't wait to watch it because I was a big WWE fan back in the day, or WWF, sorry, World Wrestling, World Wildlife Federation.
It seemed like it was kind of screwed from the beginning.
No, it was very entertaining. It was cutting edge. I'm actually really excited to watch it, and we'll talk about it. Let's see we have something else to talk about. And you're all worried about content.
I don't know, man. I don't like these 8 weeks I have to sit without baseball in between football and baseball starting.
You're gearing up. There's spring training. We can do some live shows from some of the different stadiums, and we can have our followers tweet us and ask us what's going on. We can tweet back.
That's true.
I like it.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. We'll have to see how it goes. So when we come back from break, Curt has an interesting segment for me. Things that I have missed because I was born too late.
If you were injured with a car crash, what would you do first? Who would you call?
You claim to be injured, yet you spoke to and saw an attorney before you saw a doctor. Is that true?
Yes.
Lawyers on TV tell you to call them first. You can, but should you? The law has changed, and you may find yourself paying your own medical bills if you don't see a doctor in the first 14 days. If you've been in a car crash, you need MyCrashMD, the interactive doctor visit, where you can consult virtually with a physician after you've been hurt in a car accident.
We can see you today. We'll take great care of you, regardless if you are at fault or not.
MyCrashMD is an actual medical visit with a doctor. No waiting in an ER, no wasting time driving around town. Download MyCrashMD free from anywhere and then see a doctor on any mobile device. Times are changing. If you don't get medical attention within the first 14 days after your crash, you could lose your insurance benefits. So if you've been in a car crash, help yourself and your accident case with MyCrashMD.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 50,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
Yeah, so I guess I really didn't realize how young I was until we were talking before the break about baseball season starting in April. Do you know who actually has the very first game of the season?
No.
New York at Tampa Bay. So the Rays will have the very first game of the 2017 MLB season.
Oh, nice. I wish they would do that differently. Not to poo-poo on the Rays, but I wish they would make a big, like, they always had like the one game, and then they have the big opening day ceremony. They should do it all at once.
I think that this year they're doing it so they have 3 games on opening day.
No, but they've done it the past few years, where there's always like a game and then the actual...
but this one they're doing 3 and then the actual.
Okay.
But the big one's going to be Cubs-Cardinals, obviously, because that rivalry, but it'll be good. But no, we're talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates. You're a Pirates fan.
I'm a big Pirates fan.
Talking throughout the break, and I'm like, man, the first time they were so bad for, 21 years? The first time they had a winning record was when I was 21 2 years ago. In my lifetime before that, I had never seen them have a winning season.
So, despite his beard, Connor just recently finished puberty. He's like 16 years younger than I am, although I look amazing. So for the fact that Connor missed the 80s, and he was not born soon enough, here are some of the key things he missed. Curt Gibson's game-winning home run and the game 1 of the 1988 World Series where he was pumping his arm and he was running around. He had 2 bad knees. Yeah, you saw it on YouTube or some highlight film. Being experience. Bill Buckner continued the curse with the ball rolling between his legs.
Yes.
The miracle on ice when we beat Russia.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was on the.
I don't think Trump was a big fan of that because of his relationship with Putin. But
I actually read my mom when I graduated college got me Al Michaels' biography or autobiography, and he was the one who actually called that game.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool.
Nancy Kerrigan getting the lead pipe in the library from Colonel Mustard, a.k.a. Tanya Harding's henchman, if you know what Clue is.
I know it. I said this last week.
You missed the catch, the drive, the fumble. I mean, you've missed some great quality sporting events. You missed O.J. allegedly lopping off 2 heads. You missed the Super Bowl.
I actually was alive then. I was alive then. I think that was
sure?
94. Yeah, man, 94.
When's your birthday?
93. August of 93.
Oh, okay. I think you said my birthday is 93.
No, my
but I was born
parents,
in 94.
my parents
That
had me
makes
at a
no
dinner
sense.
party, and everyone at the dinner party was in the living room watching OJ, driving in his white Ford Bronco through LA. And apparently, if you want to hear a little funny piece of trivia, Stanford's marching band apparently got into some heat when they played USC because, a year or two after that, because they, on the sidelines, drove a white Ford Bronco with red handprints all across the side of it. And USC wasn't too thrilled that they were making fun of OJ, the Juice.
Well, you missed also watching Mike Tyson fight. Mike Tyson his 30-second fights that cost you $90 on pay-per-view were epic.
I mean, I feel like I've seen that with Ronda Rousey, watching these fights, UFC fights that last 7 seconds.
But truly watching Tyson back in the day when he would get in the ring and just pummel people. I mean, you knew you were wasting money. I mean, you might as well just given a stranger $100 and said, here, smile for 30 seconds, because it's really all you're going to get from him.
But you wanted to watch him.
Of course you wanted to watch,
And
because you wanted to a little bit, the two-sport athletes gone. You don't have a baseball and a football player anymore. We had Dion and Bo. Bo Jackson, if you guys ever just watched 30 on 30 on Bo Jackson, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, dude was an absolute beast. Probably one of the best athletes in history.
Best athlete ever.
Yeah.
People don't realize
Which is what I just said.
You said one of the best. No, he was the best. I think it's hard to make the argument against
Well, you're just putting more emphasis on the.
Exactly. But no, actually, he was the one who, Tampa Bay Buccaneers ended up really screwing his career. He had some bad blood with them.
Man, they were stupid. They pulled an Indianapolis Colts. Don't draft me. Okay, well, I'm not going to draft you.
No, it wasn't that. It was that he was in college at Auburn playing baseball.
Right.
They flew him on a private jet, and they said it'd be okay. Yes. And then when he told them he wouldn't sign, they told the NCAA, so they banned him for his senior year from Auburn.
That, you're right. I thought you meant the fact that they.
And I might be younger, but I know my sports.
No, you do know your sports. You're very knowledgeable. I like
dominance of Miami Hurricanes and just how epic college football was.
College football back then was awesome. I mean, at one point, you had the Catholics versus convicts, and that year they played Michigan, they played Michigan State, who was great. They played Miami. I mean, the way the scheduling was back then. When I moved here, I moved to Tampa in 1989. And we were just exactly. I think you weren't
not even
close.
Not
even a thought. But just how dominant Florida football was back then between Florida State and Miami.
Well, Florida State had 15 top 5 finishes or something.
Oh, it was absolutely incredible. So Doug Flutie's Hail Mary. You missed two
Boston College.
You missed 2 NFL strikes. You missed so much stuff. You just go back in time. We need to get you one of those DeLoreans.
We do. I actually saw that at Universal this week, and they had the actual DeLorean from Back to the Future on display.
Have you ever seen that movie?
I have seen that movie.
Have you seen all of them?
No, because I heard the third one was awful. So I just kind of...
It's still worth watching.
It's like The Godfather Part...
It's Americana.
It's like The Godfather Part 3. You just kind of don't want to watch it. Because you're like, they should have stopped at 2.
Well, yes, I agree with Godfather Part 3. They should have stopped at 2. But you still need to watch it. And actually, if you ever read the book, Mario Puzo, he does it. You need to read the book. But that's one of the books that you should probably watch the movie first, because keeping up with the names is almost impossible.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting. I'm already trying to finish reading Harry Potter.
All of them, or the first one?
I'm on the 7th one. So
how many are there?
7.
Oh, so the last one.
Yeah, the last one, and then I'm going to actually go and read a biography on Pedro Martinez.
Oh, okay.
That he came out with, recently elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. He'll be joined this year by a couple good players in the MLB class. You got Jeff Bagwell, who went from hitting 6 home runs in the minor leagues to hitting 449 in the pros. You had Tim Raines.
What do you think the reason behind that was?
We'll talk about that in a second. You had Tim Raines, who, rumor had it that when he used to slide into base, he'd slide on his stomach because he had a vial of cocaine in his back pocket.
What was Tim Raines' nickname? Rock. I'm dead serious. Tim Rock Raines.
Yeah, apparently.
We probably know why now, but
he would slide on his stomach so his vial of coke wouldn't spill. And then you had Pudge Rodriguez, who Yvonne Rodriguez, it actually came out with something. Have you been on the Players Tribune before? The website?
No.
You should go on. It's really cool because all these players write, these little, stories about whatever. Kobe Bryant wrote on to announce his retirement. Well, Pudge Rodriguez wrote a story about him growing up, in Puerto Rico and really having to work to become such a good MLB catcher. And yet that there's allegations that he used PEDs. I think Jose Canseco actually came out and named him in his book. I think it was Juiced. I read the second one called Vindicated, which was a huge waste of $20. It was basically him just being like, my first book was true, give me more money. But
here's my problem with that, is that steroids were banned in 1991. by LB. But they didn't have a true testing system. And what defines a PED? Because a lot of these cats were on HGH, which is a synthetic hormone. It's not, and listen, I'm not condoning or advocating, utilizing performance-enhancing drugs, but there wasn't a policy. And HGH is a hormone; it's not a steroid by definition. So it didn't fall underneath their guidelines. So I think it's a bag of bullshit. They're not even considering these people to go in because they didn't have a rule.
Yeah, but I think that, again, they're thinking that it's tainted in a way that, even though it wasn't banned, they still consider it, cheating in a way that but again, reading Jose Canseco's book, they're talking about majority of these guys in the locker rooms in the minor leagues, they were all juicing. Jose Canseco was like, I would show whoever had it, everyone knew how to do it, everyone knew I was, the umpires would come up to me and feel my arms, they knew I was doing it.
Well, then if you're accepting it, then why not accept it in the Hall of Fame?
The owners accepted it because Jose Canseco was saying, the owners didn't care when you look at, and I don't think people really appreciate until now how good the mid to late 90s, early 2000s were with these home run hittings. I mean, you had seasons where you had 3 guys hitting out 60 home runs in a year. They don't break 50 anymore. The owners weren't saying anything. The owners weren't, because the fans want to see home runs.
Neither was the league, because they had that big strike, that strike shortened season when
the Montreal Expos would have won the World Series.
And they moved, I think, where'd they move to? I think they moved to Washington?
That was in 05, though.
Yes, but yes. Yeah, the Expos had an awesome team that year.
Yeah, no, they were really good. But no, they were saying that the owners don't care because they're selling tickets, like Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine from that commercial back in the 90s, like chicks dig the long ball.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So at this point, it's kind of like saying, okay, I am going to let this person do X, and I'm going to be okay with it, even though I know it's breaking the rules, but I'm not going to let that player be, I guess, enshrined for his or her accomplishments, regardless if it's cheating or not. That to me is completely wrong.
I think it's not so much wrong because you have to look at players like Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens. Those are Sammy Sosa's. Those are guys that were great before they did steroids. Mark McGwire, I mean, he wasn't a great hitter. He was a great power hitter, but they were good before the steroids.
But he still hit 40-some-odd home runs.
Yeah, no, the steroids put them. But I think what they're worried about is the guys that would not have been that great because they were. Steroids really do play a part. Obviously, you have to be able to hit a baseball, but the way it changes your body is almost unhuman to the point where these guys are able to be hitting out. I think McGwire hit off Randy Johnson like a 570-foot home run.
Right, but you're not going to vote the players in that didn't have. These guys aren't even being considered because it's the steroid area, which, if you go back, it saved baseball. I mean, let's just, for argument's sake, say that beards were banned on this show.
They're banned on the Yankees.
They're banned on this show. But John was so gracious enough to allow you to do it, despite it was breaking the rules. And they come in and said, "Listen, you were awesome, but you're not going to get an Emmy because you grew a beard. However, we knew it was illegal. We let you do it anyway." And when you put it in perspective like that, like you're being allowed to do that, that's where I have an issue.
Right. Oh, they're coming back on it, though, but I guess it's also one of those things that people can look at you negatively, or maybe you're not able to get a job if something you're able to do is legal, like maybe smoke
Babe Ruth
weed.
was hammered every game he actually played in. And read David Wells' autobiography. He's not in the Hall of Fame yet, but he was hammered.
He won't be in the Hall of Fame.
When he threw his perfect game, he was trashed.
Well, you had, who was it, Doc Ellis, who tripped on LSD throwing a no-hitter?
One of the
Pirates,
greatest shows ever. Yes.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I can't imagine having to be able to do that.
He actually had to put tape on his catcher's fingers.
So he could actually
see. Yeah.
Yeah, stuff was probably crawling all over his skin, and he was seeing stuff moving.
Yeah, and actually what's funny is he did it because he read the player cards wrong, but we'll get into that after next segment.
Yeah. Come back from break, touch a little bit more on PEDs, and talk about an NBA superstar who's being a crybaby little bitch.
If you were injured in a car crash, what would you do first? Who would you call?
You claim to be injured, yet you spoke to and saw an attorney before you saw a doctor. Is that true?
Yes.
Lawyers on TV tell you to call them first. You can, but should you? The law has changed, and you may find yourself paying your own medical bills if you don't see a doctor in the first 14 days. If you've been in a car crash, you need My Crash MD, the interactive doctor visit, where you can consult virtually with a physician after you've been hurt in a car accident.
We can see you today. We'll take great care of you, regardless if you are at fault or not.
My Crash MD is an actual medical visit with a doctor. No waiting in an ER, no wasting time driving around town. Download My Crash MD free from anywhere and then see a doctor on any mobile device. Times are changing. If you don't get medical attention within the first 14 days after your crash, you could lose your insurance benefits. So if you've been in a car crash, help yourself and your accident case with My Crash MD.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 50,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
So I'm not sure if you know this about me. Many people do not, but I have a humongous, more than arguably any other player in any other sport, whether that be hockey, basketball, soccer, golf, NASCAR. Hate this one player more than any other athlete in the world. Can you guess who it is?
I thought you were going to say you had a third nipple, and that would just got weird.
Yeah, dude, it's not like the James Bond movie, the man with the golden gun, where Scaramanga Christopher Lee is the third nipple. Knick-knack is little.
I'm assuming my guess is LeBron James.
Wow, you're correct. I wish I could have some music, some Jeopardy music. It can be.
Well, you set me up. You led into it that we were going to talk about him next.
Oh, it's been a long week. I don't know. But yeah, no, everyone that knows me knows that I have a humongous hatred for LeBron James. LeBron James, to me, is the epitome of everything that is wrong with an entitled, spoiled athlete. LeBron James grew up. Do you know what his 3 favorite teams were growing up in the 90s?
Tell me.
The Yankees, the Cowboys, and the Bulls.
Okay.
Let's leave the Cowboys out of it, says John. I don't know.
So,
second most hated team in America, according to this poll, Johnny boy. Sorry.
I couldn't disagree with you more. But let me actually rephrase that. Regardless of what his teams were, I don't think he's entitled. He grew up in Akron, Ohio. I grew up 20 minutes outside of Akron. There is nothing in that town that leads you to be entitled whatsoever.
No, but once he starts performing, he got, coverage like no one's ever seen before. He's been given pretty much ever. Obviously he has the skills. He's putting the work. I'm not saying he's not a great player, but the way he conducts himself now, the way he's conducted himself his entire career. So he just got into a huge feud with their front office in Cleveland, telling the owner that he doesn't think he's spent enough money on the team and needs to spend more. The Cavs have set an NBA record this year.
Yeah, the $30 million over the cap.
$127 million payroll. He's got into fights. They had to take him aside and say, listen, you need to stop, causing all this friction with the team. You're causing more damage. So last month, or this month for January, was the first month in 10 years, over 10 years, that he has had a losing record. The Cavs went 7-8 this month.
You're right. He is being a little bit of I don't want to say prima donna, but yeah, he's asking for a lot because everything that he's asked for so far, Cleveland has given him. But he leads the league in minutes played. Every time he takes a day off, he gets blasted by the media. If you look at Magic Johnson, which at one point we called Tragic Johnson, and Michael Jordan, I remember Michael Jordan left the NBA for a while and decided to go play, baseball.
Well, here, let me ask you this quick little question while we're talking about Michael Jordan. So you put on your tinfoil hat, you get your conspiracy theories ready.
I am not Mel Gibson, and I do not put water glasses next to my head.
We're at Area 52 Media Studios, so we got to act a little.
This is a shameless
we got
plug.
We got to pull up our conspiracy.
You're welcome.
I'm
talking to him, not you.
Oh, thanks. But there's been a lot of things saying that Michael Jordan left basketball because David Stern wanted to suspend him for his gambling because he apparently had a huge gambling problem back in the 90s, was running up millions of dollars into, and so the thing was saying that instead of suspending him publicly, which would really hurt the face of the league because Michael Jordan at that time was basketball, that they would say, you need to go away for 2 years. We'll say that you're leaving to go pursue baseball and you can come back. What would you say to that?
I don't buy it for him. I don't buy it for him. And Jordan's always had a passion for baseball, and when you get to a certain level and a certain age, it starts to wear on you. The pressure, the physical and the mental fatigue starts to make your body, just your entire persona crack. And that's what LeBron's going through right now. I mean, he's 32 years old. He's been in the league for 14 years. He's led the league in minutes. Michael and Magic didn't have to deal with social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, sports talk radio. So you have all this, and they're carrying. And Michael, who is the god of basketball, I mean, he could do no wrong. He could walk on water. He asked for the same stuff. He asked for Dennis Rodman. He asked for Horace Grant. He asked for Scottie Pippen. He got all those things. Payroll wasn't that high. Do I agree with the way that he's doing it? No. Do I think he's entitled? No. Do I think Charles Barkley called him out? Yes. Do I think he deserved to be called out? Absolutely. Now, do I think that LeBron's retort about how I've never spit on a kid,
push somebody out of a window and leave my dad in Vegas,
is Chuck's response was, I just wish I was on a higher floor when he pushed that dude out of the window. I mean, listen, they're both, they both act like a bag of dicks in that whole situation, which is unfortunate because it's bad. Because the one thing about the NBA is in the NBA, the stars are the stars. Like, the stars carry that league.
Well, if you looked at when LeBron went to Miami, one of the most interesting things is why I'm not a huge basketball fan. I think a lot of people feel the same way. Is you have to look at the impact one player can have on a team. Okay, let's say
you only have 5.
Yeah, but let's say one player can have. So baseball, the Dodgers had this example this year where Kershaw went down for 2 months. They still went on a winning streak, made the playoffs.
Right.
Football, your quarterback goes down. Brady went down. They went 3. When LeBron James went to Miami, they won 60 games or 61 games the year he was there. Goes to Miami. Next year they won 20, worst record in the league. End up getting the number 1 overall pick, who was Kyrie Irving.
Right.
So I think the NBA is just one player can have way too much control. You're looking at someone like, again, you look at Russell Westbrook, who's averaging a triple-double, 50-plus games through the season, that these guys just way too much on one player.
Well, they do, but that's the way the league is set up. So if you break out the top 3, baseball, basketball, and football. In basketball, the stars run the league. It just is.
Yes.
In football, the Shield, the league runs the league. Tom Brady could retire tomorrow, and Rodgers could retire next week. Gronk could go away. Antonio Brown, who I projected to be traded last week, and now every ESPN analysis is saying we should trade them, but you heard it first here, just FYI.
Just like the Aqib Talib thing?
Exactly, which will happen. Mark my word. Anyway, so the Shield runs the league. In baseball, history runs the league. No, everyone talks about the hit. We just did it just now. We talked about the PEDs. You talk about Babe Ruth. You talk about, Hank Aaron. You talk about all of these other old players, and that's what drives the league. And it's interesting to look at the dynamic. But you're right. Will it ever change? I don't know. It probably won't, because it is a 5-person league. It's the only sport where you have such close access to the. I don't know if you've ever been to an NBA game, but literally, it's like it would be like me sitting right here.
I'm from Los Angeles. Los Angeles is the basketball capital of the world.
By your own decree or actually legitimately?
Actual legitimacy.
I'm going to fact check that later.
I want you to
we're gonna
fact
talk
check
about
that
next week.
Absolutely.
So are you saying? So you didn't answer my question. So you have been to a pro basketball?
Very much so. I've been to multiple Lakers games.
Okay, so
I can't afford to sit on the court side because I don't have $4,000 to blow on a ticket. But I have seen how close you get even sitting.
If we get more viewers, you might.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Melo going to the Clippers?
Let me touch on that one second. I want to talk about. I just remembered. I almost went to a courtside seat for a Clippers game back when they were bad. They were playing the Cavaliers, and this was back I think it was 2010 or 2011. I was still in high school. This was before they got Chris Paul, when Blake Griffin was injured. Well, they had courtside seats for a Clippers-Cavs game when the Cavs were the worst team after LeBron, the first year he jumped ship. I think that the courtside seats for the Clippers game were under 200. I decided I was about to buy it to go, and I was like, I don't feel like spending money on that. Swear to God, later that day, I see a report on ESPN where some guy somehow got onto the court carrying a knife pre-game, and they had to detain the players in the locker room and arrest the guy because he got onto the court with a kitchen knife.
Good job with security. So when you said jump ship, LeBron didn't jump ship from Cleveland. Cleveland didn't want to. No, they didn't want to give him what he needed to win a championship, and he also went back. He went back.
He went back because he saw an easy opportunity, and right now. They actually wrote an article on ESPN kind of saying that LeBron's pissed because of how the Warriors have got Kevin Durant, and now they're realizing the Warriors are really good this year. Last year they collapsed at the end, but this year
that's the whole nature of the league.
But the thing is that's the way that LeBron and the Cavs have created the league. Okay, so you go back to the Boston Celtics with their big three back in 2009.
Right.
Then you had the Lakers with Gasol and Kobe. So then LeBron looks at this situation.
Or Shaq and Kobe. Let's go back even further.
Shaq and Kobe, yeah, but I think what really started this trio thing was Boston. So Boston had Garnett, Allen, and Pierce. So the Lakers were like, we need to get a couple.
Allen's kind of over the hill when they got him.
He still performed enough.
He's still, I think, Jesus Jones from...
Shuttleworth.
Shuttleworth, not Jesus Jones.
Yeah.
Jesus Jones, I think, is a band.
So you look at
or a song.
You look at then LeBron goes to Miami. They've already got 2 established stars. He goes 2-2 in finals. Well, he looks at Cleveland. Cleveland now. He looks at Miami. Miami's old. Chris Bosh is having blood clots. He might never play again. He looks at Cleveland. They've got Kyrie Irving. Okay. They've got Andrew Wiggins, who's the first overall pick in that year's draft. He then realizes, well, they can now trade Andrew Wiggins to get Kevin Love. Mind you,
why are you blaming him for this?
Because I always blame LeBron. I hate LeBron and I hate the Cavs. When the Lakers traded for Chris Paul in 2011,
you don't think we'd leave if another studio said, "Hey, look,
the Cleveland
I'm joking."
The Cleveland Cavaliers owner, Dave, who's their owner? I can't even think of his name. Dan Gilbert.
Right.
He came out to the league saying the Lakers can't get Chris Paul. They'll have him and Dwight Howard and Kobe, and it'll be unfair, and they'll have a dynasty, and they'll do all this. So
that's how the league is of 5 people.
He got the trade vetoed. That's the only time, and the only time you will ever see the NBA veto a trade. Dan Gilbert was so adamant about that trade not happening because it was unfair. Oh, look at that. He gets his own trio of LeBron, Kevin Love, and Kyrie Irving.
Dan Gilbert's letter after LeBron
Yeah, he called him, Benedict Arnold.
It was the funniest thing I've ever
told him that he guaranteed they would.
It was so awesome.
He guaranteed they'd win a championship before he did, and he won one 2 years later.
Listen, buying championships is nothing new. Well, the Redskins tried it. It's more difficult when you have more pieces involved. When you're dealing with 5 people, yeah, you can do it. And here's the thing, newsflash, that's the NBA of the future. It's not going to change.
No.
If it's going to be the Cavs or the Clippers or the Spurs or the Pelicans, which is the dumbest team name ever.
Yeah, apparently I didn't even know it was the state bird of Louisiana, but I'm I don't know.
We'll talk about that more a little bit later.
What's worse, the name or the fact they play in Smoothie King Arena?
I have no idea, but we'll talk about that next segment.
Oh my God! Is it time to go to break? Are we? Yeah. Time to go to break. All right, we'll come back. We'll finish up this conversation and close out our 4th edition of Tuesday Night Sports Talk.
If you were injured in a car crash, what would you do first? Who would you call?
You claim to be injured, yet you spoke to and saw an attorney before you saw a doctor. Is that true?
Yes.
Lawyers on TV tell you to call them first. You can, but should you? The law has changed, and you may find yourself paying your own medical bills if you don't see a doctor in the first 14 days. If you've been in a car crash, you need My Crash MD, the interactive doctor visit, where you can consult virtually with a physician after you've been hurt in a car accident.
We can see you today. We'll take great care of you, regardless if you are at fault or not.
My Crash MD is an actual medical visit with a doctor. No waiting in an ER, no wasting time driving around town. Download My Crash MD free from anywhere and then see a doctor on any mobile device. Times are changing. If you don't get medical attention within the first 14 days after your crash, you could lose your insurance benefits. So if you've been in a car crash, help yourself and your accident case with My Crash MD.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 50,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
I feel like we get really, really distracted when we get on topic, or maybe that's just me, but I feel like you asked me a question that I completely just registered over break that you asked about Carmelo Anthony and the Clippers.
Yeah.
Do I see him going to the Clippers?
Are you a Clippers fan? Like, who do you root for in basketball?
I'm a Lakers fan.
Okay.
I like the Clippers in the sense of not necessarily I'm a Clippers fan, which a lot of people in LA are now that they're good. I cheer for them because I'm like, if it's an LA thing, if they're in the playoffs and the Lakers are obviously home, I'm like, I guess if you keep it in LA, it's cool. I don't see them as like a rival or that big of a competitor.
Well, they're not.
Exactly. Well, they made a whole big deal about something. They were.
It's like the younger brother of LA.
And it's like the redheaded stepchild brother who can't see and is in a wheelchair of LA. But
If you were injured in a car crash,
No, they got in some heat because I guess the Clippers a couple of years ago, they were playing home games and putting their selfies over the Lakers banner. So the Lakers Twitter was like, you hang selfies, we hang banners.
So were they more upset about the selfies over banners or the knife-wielding crazy person that ran on their court, as you talked about last segment?
They probably blamed the Clippers for that because the Clippers are known for their
Well, I know. A Cleveland guy didn't. No one from Cleveland's smart enough to bring a knife from Cleveland to LA.
No. This was just they were playing Cleveland. They were playing in Las Los Angeles.
I understand that.
This is LA. LA stuff like that happens all the time. No one bats an eye.
Oh, okay.
But
Awesome.
I mean, I'll cheer for them enough. I mean,
never go to LA.
I've got a Chris Paul and a Blake Griffin shirt. So I mean, I like Carmelo Anthony.
I'm calling bullshit because you also said you had a Matt Ryan shirt, and I've yet to see that.
I'll wear my Blake Griffin. I wear the Blake Griffin shirt all the time. I think the Chris Paul shirt was a casualty of my last breakup, just like the Matt Ryan shirt and one of my Clayton Kershaw shirts.
What was his name?
His name? Steve. But no, I mean, I like the Clippers. Yeah, reports coming out that they're talking about getting Carmelo Anthony, but no one really wants him right now.
No, they don't. I mean, everyone that's looking at him, he's kind of a copycat player of what they're trying to. He's a duplicate, so there's no real reason. He brings no value.
Yeah, well, it's funny because they're talking about, the Knicks would be willing to trade him to the Clippers without asking for Jordan, Paul, or Blake Griffin, which the Clippers would not.
Right.
But it's like, who are they targeting? And there's reports that they like Austin Rivers. That's who they would trade for Carmelo Anthony, is Austin Rivers. One of by the per ratings, one of the worst players in the NBA.
Awesome.
A player who's in the NBA getting minutes because his dad's a coach of the team.
So in segment 1, we talked about jersey numbers.
Okay.
And number 2. And why Matt Ryan was number 2. And you had pulled up an image of Matt Ryan being number 12 at Boston College. Well, apparently when Matt Ryan went to Boston College, they simply just gave him number 12. Okay. He was number 2 in high school. And the reason why he didn't continue with the legacy of number 12 is because Mike Jenkins was a receiver on Atlanta. And he's an Ohio State alum. And he wore number 12 at Ohio State and carried that tradition over before Matt Ryan was drafted. So he just stuck with his number 2. Now, here's the fun part. So guess who Matt Ryan's hero was in high school?
I don't know.
Tim Couch. Which is why he picked number 2. I told you, everyone has a hero.
Oh my
Everyone
God.
has a hero.
I feel like that's like one of those phrases, like I've had the Family Guy, like where it's like, you got to think of that.
It's like rooting for poverty. It's like, it's just going to be poor.
It's like the Family Guy, where it's like you got to come up with a phrase for like a secret word for like a sleeper agent, or a phrase that no one would ever say. It's like Tim Couch is my childhood idol.
It's called a safe word.
A safe word? I thought it's Oklahoma
Whole
was the
different
safe
show.
word. Oh, okay. I thought Oklahoma was the safe word, but
no, that's a state where Tulsa is. We talked about that
Oklahoma.
earlier.
You've never seen like Jackass whenever they get into the bondage stuff? Oklahoma is the safe word for like BDSM stuff.
Anyway, next
Not
topic.
going to even touch that topic.
Let's talk about the Raiders.
Yeah, well, the Raiders now,
go.
again, I feel like these stadium moves are always, they're never just easy. They're never just, you can't just, there's no more packing up and just leaving the city in the middle of the night. So
We're not when you're the Raiders.
No. Sheldon Adelson withdrew his $650 million pledge Monday night from the planned $1.9 billion stadium that the Raiders were looking to get built in Las Vegas. It says here on ESPN.com that they're scheduled to commit $500 million to the project and are also responsible for his $650 million, which means that they now would be on the hook for over $1 billion.
Listen, the Oakland Raiders, you can equate them to like that weird, like a crazy hot chick that all your friends like warn you about, like stay away from her, she's crazy, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh yeah, we'll hang out with her for a while. That's what LA did to, or what Vegas did to the Raiders. They burned them. They finally became relevant for the first time in 20 years, and the Raiders are going to burn them on not being able, because obviously these investors found something within the finances of why they're pulling out.
Yeah, I mean, the guy that was going to withdraw his money is worth almost $30 billion. So
yeah,
for
there's
him,
got to be something.
and I mean, there's
on the
money
line
there's money to be made there. So I guess
of course there is
something that we're just not seeing, but
or not being revealed within the media.
Yeah, that's true. But that's interesting. So I mean, at what point now do you see the Raiders with Oakland, because they want to? It's obvious now that they want to move.
Well, exactly. And they burnt San Antonio. They burnt San Diego, and I
don't think they were ever going to move this time.
Or Los Angeles.
Yeah, they tried to make they wanted the Chargers and Raiders to share a stadium, which is like having the Yankees and Red Sox share a stadium. Yeah, I've been when I used to live in San Diego, man, whenever you would have a game at Qualcomm, it would be the Raiders and Chargers. It would be people getting knifed in the parking lot, fights in the stands. You know, they tell you not to go to the bathroom alone if you're like a fan of one team, because people in there would jump.
That's like going to Philadelphia.
I don't think anyone wants to go to Philadelphia.
No, it smells like cheese and steaks.
They throw snowballs at Santa Claus. You can't really
stuff with batteries.
Can't really.
Allegedly.
Well, I mean, I guess if you put it in a sock, it doesn't leave a mark, right? Poor Santa Claus. Oh, man. Well, we've also got, a little bit more baseball news. Season doesn't start till April 2nd, so I think it's 8 weeks from Sunday from the Super Bowl is when regular season starts. The St. Louis Cardinals director of scouting or player scouting,
Correa.
Chris Correa, yeah, he got found. They busted them for. He was arrested, sentenced to about 4 years in prison for hacking into the Houston Astros database and
Another Spygate.
They named it something stupid, Hackgate. Everything has to be a gate. Astrogate maybe would be kind of cool.
I guess
Astrogate kind of sounds badass.
I get mixed in with like Astroglide, it's a whole different.
AstroTurf.
Or
I'm
AstroTurf.
just digging the people next door jamming out to Huey Lewis in the news. But yeah, the MLB is ordering the Cardinals, their top 2 picks in the 2017 draft, as well as $2 million to be awarded to Houston.
All right, so they're giving their top 2 picks. So this is a whole other debate. So they're giving their top 2 picks in 2017 to the Astros in addition to $2 million.
Yeah.
Okay, see that I can get on board with. What really irritates me is when we put down NFL sanctions and Goodell's, infinite wisdom, is when the Seahawks potentially could lose a pick because of not disclosing Richard Sherman's MCL. They're going to take that pick away. That pick never gets added. So what that ultimately does is it hurts the collegiate people that are coming up because it's one less person to be drafted.
Yeah.
Which is kind of, it's kind of a jerk move. Maybe award that to the worst team in the league, which would be the Cleveland Browns yet again. No offense, Cleveland, I apologize. I'm actually on LeBron's side. He hates him, so
you're an idiot. I can't believe you like LeBron. It disgusts me.
Why wouldn't I?
I just can't stand him. He's a crybaby bitch. He's upset about.
So who do you like the most in the NBA? Because this is really going to show his character.
Right now, my favorite player, even though he's injured, is probably Chris Paul. The head of the NBA Players Association, a guy that is in, State Farm commercials, Cliff Paul. He's never been in trouble, has no tattoos, is probably the most, in my opinion, the best NBA player to idolize because he is the most classy, he's intelligent, he's, charitable, never been in trouble. You never hear him talking about his teammates or he's never getting into any conflicts. He's a team player. He's a point guard. A point guard is a team player. LeBron isn't. And he's sitting there blaming them for not. And at a point, you're like, okay, well, maybe if you did better and your team did better, you would be winning. But for you to be like, we need point guards.
You doing better and your team doing better in the same sentence.
Yeah, you both need to do better. You're losing because you're not doing well and your team's not doing well. LeBron James is, look at the numbers he's putting up. That's great. If I was playing 43 minutes a game, I'd be having numbers. It's desperation, and they're starting to it's funny, too, because LeBron James now is basically complaining because he's looking at how good Golden State is, and it's like, you've done this, LeBron, and now that another team is out.
We have more to debate next week about this whole entire situation, because he's pretty heated about it.
But let me give you my daily Browns hate that I know you would enjoy.
Okay.
I found this online just for you.
All right.
Joe Thomas has started every game in his career since being drafted in 2007. At 32 years old, he has only won 48 games in his career.
That's horrible. See you guys next week.